Welcome to Technomancer's tier list guide for starting out in Darkest Dungeons 2. The tier list is not going to be about what is absolute best at the end of the game. This is a tier list for once you have collected your first set of candles and you've unlocked all of the classes. That's what I did with my first set of candles that I got. I unlocked all the classes, and I was wondering to myself, all right, well, what am I going to take now? Because I need to, obviously you need to farm some candles to get some more abilities, to get paths for your characters. I'm not going to go into any of that stuff, but you want a set amount. This is how I felt these classes were based on how easy they were to play, how much fun it was to play. Yeah, pretty much that. How easy they were and how fun. Let's get into it. So we'll start with the bounty hunter guy, because this dude shows up in this game randomly, but every single time that he shows up, once you have unlocked him, he's always feels like it's S tier. You just grab him at the end when he shows up. You don't hesitate. You just grab him. Even though his abilities might be a little bit confusing if you're just getting first into the game, I still recommend to grab him first and foremost. Then we have the grave robber or whatever. Now she starts in your first group, the usual suspects or whatever it's called. I feel like her abilities, the way that I was, and I'm just talking about the starting abilities, not upgrading, not after you get any of the newer abilities or anything like that. Just her starting out abilities puts her A tier. She does decent damage. She doesn't move around a whole lot. It's not super confusing the way that she rolls in the group, and the abilities that she has are very straightforward. She picks at people with a pick. She throws some darts. She does good crit damage. She's a good all-around pick if you want to start getting some candles to get other classes or to get trophies and stuff like that. That's a good pick. Barbarian, I would put in C class. I wouldn't put her all the way down at the bottom. I don't know what people rate her for in the end of the game, but I felt like her abilities, she has some abilities that debuff the people that your enemies, and then debuff her at the same time, which is, for me, is a little bit harder to deal with when you're just starting out with the game, to sort of min-max that sort of stuff. I don't have the time to bother with that shit. No thanks. Dismas, the rogue guy, I feel like is a solid. I put him in A. His damage output is extraordinary for not having been buffed or anything like that. He starts out good damage. He'll do great things for your group. Some of the movement skills that he has are a little bit different and a little bit weird to get used to. And I think any of the movement skills are a little bit weird to get and different to get used to in the game. But his aren't that bad. Basically, you can move forward and then he gets a riposte, which is great. It's free damage, whatever. Jester is along the C tier for me. Jester is a lot of fun. Okay, it's a lot of fun of a class. It is a lot of movement and a lot of debuffing and a lot of bleeds. It's a lot of stuff to shuffle and sort of, I mean, it's Jester. Oh my gosh, am I gonna do it? Is the pun gonna happen? It's a lot of stuff to juggle. It is a lot of stuff to juggle though. The class seems a little bit, it's not overwhelming, but if you're just starting out like in Darkest Dungeons 2 or Darkest Dungeons just on the whole, it's not exactly the thing that I would do. Next up is the leper. A lot of people would say put this one, I think, lower on their tier list for end game. I categorize this as an S tier starting out, when you've got crappy builds and you have low candles and you have no abilities and no trinkets and stuff like that. This is probably the way to go. It has, as far as like the tank classes go, which we'll get to like another one in just a second, the leper has an ability that forces the other enemies to attack the leper, which I think is paramount when you're trying to first get through the game and just sort of explore and get through like the different maps and stuff like that, and the paths on the stagecoach. Like if you just want to get a little bit further to get more candles, this character will help you get a little bit further. I mean, yeah. Next up is the other sort of tank guy. I would put him in B class. He's not confusing to play. He's very straightforward. You know what? Actually, we can put him in A class. He does have an ability where he will take away the stress. And if you played Darkest Dungeons 1 and you've gotten some of these other characters in Darkest Dungeons 2, you understand the mechanic of the stress. And so having him take away some of that stress might be something that you want to do if you feel like that your other characters are gaining a lot of stress while you're playing. Next up is the occultist. I'll put him in B. I think a lot of his abilities are straightforward. It's some debuffs that he gets that he starts off with. He has a pull. He has an ability that damages the back line for your enemy, which is useful. You'll be wanting it. I mean, you don't have to pay attention to his other mechanic of pumping himself up so that he can do otherworldly damage and call demons down from the stars. You don't need to worry about all that stuff. You just need to worry about damaging the back lines, and he has some good baseline damage, I think. Plague Doctor. This is where a lot of people would put Plague Doctor lower. Here, I think. For me, this dude is S tier. For me starting out, he did wonderfully. And the reason I put him S tier is he has not only debuffs, he has a damage over time dot, and he can heal. I don't think you need much more than that. I mean, he debuffs for the rest of your team. He's going to be able to heal. Now the heal is like only has like 3 charges in each fight, but that's something you just have to get used to. The game just basically effing you over on some things. Then you have, and he's also got a dot. The dot that he does is really good damage. Also, you can upgrade it once, and it does like 6 damage around, which is pretty good. Pretty good for, I mean, the fact of the matter is that he can damage stuff while he's debuffing someone else or healing somebody else. He's got that multitasking going on. Arsonist is, in my opinion, C. There's a lot of abilities that take a lot of setup for the Arsonist or the Orphan or whatever that most people just won't get into. It just isn't going to be fun for you to manage on your first couple of runs and stuff like that. I like playing with the Arsonist in my group. I think it's a lot of fun, but that's after I got the hang of the game and got some of the candles and trophies and stuff like that, and some abilities for the Arsonist, you know. Vestal is a solid. I think Vestal is a solid S also. Now, I don't think anybody really would take 2 healers in a group, but Vestal their abilities, especially the nuke that they have, damages any of the 4 positions that you're going against. So anybody on the other opposite team, any of the enemies, you can damage with her. You can heal. Now the heal has a cooldown, but I mean, you're gonna, like I said, for all healing in this game, it's something that you have to manage no matter what. There's no just automatically, I'm just gonna heal everything that just comes at me. That's just not how that game goes. You have to manage healing. So this is it. This is the tier list. This is how if you're going to be looking at starting off in the game, these are sort of where you want to pick from. I would leave the C characters out. You might want to take the B character. I would pull from making your first, or your first group is actually made up of the Grave Robber, Dismas, Barristan, or whatever this dude's name is, and the Plague Doctor. Those 4 are the usual suspects. That's what you start off with. As soon as you get through the game, like once you'll have enough trophies to go ahead and purchase all the rest of the characters. And then you'll just want to sort of pick from these ones in the S and the A column, I think. And then you can sort of just farm some trophies and then figure out the other characters, work in one or two of them, maybe on a different run, and figure out which ones work best for you. That's it. Easy. Go have some fun. Peace.